Hello there. This is your judicial branch quiz for government. Please make sure you put your name and the period at the top. Date probably wouldn't hurt either. So here we go. You got matching in this first section. Got a little crazy here. Did a little color coordinating. All right. As you can see, any of these statements that have an A after it with the yellow highlight, your choices are F, Sandra Day O'Connor, G, life, H, oversee power, or I, a law. And that applies to numbers 2, 5, and 7. So there's 4 choices there. There's only 3 questions. So what I want to do is I'll read these 3 for letter that apply to box A for the choices, okay? So number 2, all judges must have a degree in what? So which of these 4 must they all have a degree in? Number 5, the length of term for most federal justices is what? So federal court justice, the Supreme Court, how long are they in office? Again, you got Sandra Day O'Connor, life, oversee power, or law. Make sure you use capital letters also in your answers. And then number 7, this will do it for the box A. Who was the first woman on the Supreme Court? Boy, if you don't get this one right, we've got a problem. All right. So that does it for box A, for the yellow ones. Now we're going to talk about B. All right, these are all the green ones marked. And your choices are jurisdiction, judicial review, John G. Roberts, Jr., and Sonia Sotomayor. Okay, so this applies to for questions. Let's take a look here to make sure we got them all. Okay, so for questions 3, 4, and 6. So number 3, the power of the Supreme Court to declare laws passed by Congress as unconstitutional. So which of those talks about the Supreme Court declaring and Congress declares them unconstitutional? Number 4, who is the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court? So I only see 2 names here. Which one of those is a Chief Justice? And number 6, the right to interpret and apply the law, a court's range of authority. So their range of authority mean they have right to express their judicial muscles, okay? Which of these 4, jurisdiction, judicial review, or is it one of these 2 people, Roberts or Sotomayor? That'll wrap that up for the B's. Now for the C group. Your choices are N, Mayberry or Marbury versus Madison, O, 9, Q, judicial activism, and S, minority opinion. And this applies to question 1, and then 8, 9, and 10. So let's look at number 1. The Supreme Court has how many justices? How many justices are on the Supreme Court? Okay. Here's your 4 choices. Marbury versus Madison is N. Again, O is 9. Q is judicial activism. And S is minority opinion. Number 8. The senior justice on the side that disagreed with the decision of the Supreme Court writes the blank opinion. Okay. What opinion does the justice who disagreed with the Supreme Court, what do they have to write? Number 9, this court practices this if it tries to set the social and political policy of the nation. What is it practicing? It's doing what? And number 10, The Supreme Court case that gave the power of judicial review. What was the Supreme Court case that gave judicial review? Okay, so that does it for the matching. We'll flip on to the next page. Okay, everybody. This section, we're just kind of marking which box, true, false. There's all kinds of different choices. But it all is based off of this conversation with Joint Chief Justice John Roberts. So, the United States has both federal and state courts, but the Supreme Court only hears cases from the federal courts. Is that true or false? Number 2, currently there are 9 justices on the United States Supreme Court. How many votes does it take to hear a case? How many votes do they have to have in order for them to say, yeah, we'll hear your case? Do you need 6, 4, or 3? And again, if I'm going too fast, just press pause. All right. Number 3, how many state courts in the United States are older than the Supreme Court? Excuse me, it says many, not how many. Many of the state courts in the U.S. are older than the Supreme Court. Is that true or false? Number 4 is a fill-in. Blank are filed by people or organizations who are interested in the case, but not necessarily involved. So they have an interest, they're curious about it, but they're not directly involved. What do they have to file? Number 5, John Marshall was the blank Chief Justice, the second, the third, or the fourth Chief Justice. Number 6, the Chief Justice gets 2 votes. Is that true or false? Number 7, when the Supreme Court issues a decision, it is taking a position on whether the justices think something is a good idea or not. True or false? So when the Supreme Court issues a decision, it's taking a position on whether the justices think it's a good idea or not. Number 8, blank are papers explaining why one side should win and the other side should lose. Are these briefs, shorts, or documents of the court? Number 9, the Chief Justice has many special perks. For example, he or she has the final say if a case will be heard by the Supreme Court. Is that true or false? The Chief Justice, they got some extra perks. One of these is that they get the final say on whether or not they're going to hear a case. Is that true or false? And the last one here, number 10, when the Chief Justice is in the majority, the Chief Justice decides who writes the opinion of the court. So basically, when the majority of the judges all agree, whoever those people are, and the Chief Justice is one of them, he or she gets to decide who writes the opinion, basically, who has to write the report of the case. Is this true or false? Okay, we'll go on to the last page. Okay, here. You got to complete both of these identifications. Okay, answer these best ability. Now, it says using your notes. That's not true. We are not using our notes. Okay, try to remember your notes and remember what was discussed in class. So the first part here, number 1, says we discussed 3 types of laws in class: civil, criminal, and constitutional. You got to describe each law, give an example of a type of court case that might represent that law. So, for example, here we've kind of got you led in the right direction. There's civil, criminal, and constitutional law. Define it here, and then give an example of a court case for each one of those. And then the second part, what are things that the president looks for in choosing federal justices? So, what does he look for when he's choosing federal justices? Make sure that you discuss at least 3 key areas. So, here's your 3 lines, 3 key points on what the President of the U.S. looks for when he's picking a judge for the Supreme Court. All right. And then we do have a bonus. Okay. Let me zoom in on that a little bit. I'm just going to read these. How many women are currently on the Supreme Court? Who is the only current African American on the Supreme Court? Who was the first Hispanic American woman to be appointed and is currently serving on the court? And the last one, who was the first African American to be appointed to the court? I remember that one because I remember when it happened. It's been a while ago. Okay, hopefully this helped. Have a great rest of the day.